Today we are going to recall the last lesson, of which was based on structures. Firstly, we are going to look on the definition of a structure, a man-made structure, and a shell structure, and on the two purposes of structures that we look on the last lesson. Here I have a definition of a structure, of which a structure is a building object constructed from several parts, of which may be a bicycle or a fan, a human skeleton. And the other definition of a structure is something that is built or made or put together in a way. And secondly, we are going to look on the man-made structures. Man-made structures are structures that are manufactured by humans for different purposes. And natural structures, of which is the third point that we are going to look on. Natural structures are structures that are not have been made by human and occur in nature, like a tree, a stone, of which is a nature. These are natural structures. And lastly, as to recall and to the last lesson that we did talk about the purpose of structures, of which is number one is to contain objects, like a soda can contain liquid inside. Its definition is it is a structure which can contain or hold objects. Number two, the purpose number two is to protect or sheltering objects, of which are the structures that can be used to protect and shelter objects. An example, last time we said a tortoise shell protect its body. Yes, that is what we did on the last lesson. But today we are going to focus more on the main three types of structures, of which is a shell structure, number one, number two, a frame structure, and number three, of which is a solid structure. I would like to sit in groups of seven, to sit in groups of seven, as you are 42, yes, so that the groups will be equivalent in numbers, yes. And please take out the papers that I have that I has copied for you last time, so that we will look on these three different types of structures, and I will give you the newspapers so that you can look on the different structures you may find there, and we will look on it. Yes. This part, be fast. Quiet. Yes, number one, focus, attention class, focus. Yes, number one, we will look on the shell structures. Shell structures contain or protect things from outside and are usually hollow inside. Yes. Shell structures. In a shell, the outside layer of the structure holds the whole object together. For an example of the shell structures are a mark. Here I have a mark, of which is a shell structure, and this mark contain what? Contain a coffee inside there. And another example of a shell structure, it is a bowl which contains 40 breakfast and so on. A suitcase which contains clothes. This is a type of a shell structure. And Examples of all natural shell structures include eggshell. Eggshell is an example of a shell structure, but of which is a natural structure because it is not being made by humans, but it is a nature. Yes, but this one are man-made structures because they have been made or manufactured by people for different purposes. Yes, examples of natural structures, of natural shell structures include eggshells, honeycomb, and the shell of nuts. Secondly, we are going to focus on the frame structures. Frame structures are structures that are made of rigid parts joined together to form a framework. Yes. These parts are called members. There are lots of examples of frame structures. For an instance, a bridge is a frame structure that spans a gap. And I would like to define the sorry. Thank you. I would like to explain more about span. Span. Yes, span is the distance from one end to the other end of an object. And I think we did talk much about frame structures now, and also the frame structures are they are man-made structures and natural frame structures. Yes, and lastly we are going to look on the shell structures. Sorry, on the solid structures, of which the examples are a ruler. This is a solid structure. A spoon is a solid structure, and I have a pencil, of which is a solid structure. Here I have a pen there, and it is a solid structure. Yes. And let me read here a little bit. A solid structure is usually made from one solid piece of material, but it can also be made by pulling up or forming similar materials into a particular shape or design. Solid structures are not hollow, or they do not contain any joints. Yes, of which may be a brick, and this is a brick here. This is a brick, of which is an example of a solid structure. There is a mountain, of which is an example of a solid structure. Yes. The last thing here, I have an example of a frame structure, of which is a chair that we use to sit on, and here is a desk, of which is a structure that we use to write on. Yes. Lastly, I will. And then lastly, there is a fan there on the wall, of which is a frame structure. Yes. Lastly, I will like to as we are having the 3 types of structures, of which is a shell structure, a frame structure, and a solid structure. These structures, between these 3 structures, we have man-made structures and natural structures. Yes, and these structures help us to solve our particular problems and make our lives easier. Yes. I thank you